If we'd turned around when the radio started talking, every one of us would have made it home. People always ask why I waited so long to tell this story. Truth is, I kept hoping I'd find an explanation. I never did. This happened almost 12 years ago in the Great Smoky Mountains. There were 4 of us. Me, my cousin Tyler, my buddy Mason, and Mason's girlfriend Rachel. We weren't expert hikers, but we weren't clueless either. We'd done plenty of weekend trips, carried the right gear, checked the weather, and told people exactly where we were going. Our goal was simple: reach an old fire tower before sunset, spend the night nearby, hike back the next morning. Easy. At least, that's what we thought. The trail started like every other hike I'd ever been on. Families with little kids, people walking dogs, couples taking pictures. Nothing felt unusual. Tyler kept joking that if we got lost, he'd just follow the smell of barbecue back to civilization. We laughed. I actually remember thinking it was going to be one of those trips where nothing interesting happened. I wish it had stayed that way. About 3 hours in, the crowds disappeared. The woods got quiet, not silent, just different. No birds, no squirrels, no wind. It felt like the whole forest was waiting for something. Nobody said it out loud, but we all noticed. Rachel was the first one to break the silence. "You guys hear anything?" We stopped. Nothing. "Exactly," she said. That answer bothered me more than if she'd heard something. About another mile up the trail, we found a backpack sitting beside a tree. It wasn't buried, wasn't hidden, just left there, still zipped. Tyler figured somebody would come back for it. Mason picked it up. It was surprisingly heavy. Inside were clothes, trail snacks, a flashlight, car keys, even a wallet. Everything someone would need to leave with, except no phone. That seemed weird. We looked around. No footprints in the mud, no campsite, no voices, just that backpack. Rachel wanted to report it once we got back, so we left it where it was. Looking back, that was probably the last normal decision we made. We reached the tower later than expected. It stood above the trees like something forgotten. The stairs creaked with every step. Tyler grinned. "If this thing falls over, I'm haunting all of you." I laughed. 5 minutes later, I wasn't laughing anymore. Inside the observation room sat an old emergency radio. It looked dead. Dust covered everything. The batteries had been removed. Mason even joked about taking it home as decoration. Then it crackled. Every one of us froze. Static filled the room. Then a man's voice. "Don't let them come down." Silence. Another burst of static. "Keep them at the tower." Then, nothing. Nobody moved. Mason walked over first. "There aren't even batteries in this thing." He turned it upside down. Empty compartment. I swear I saw his face lose all its color. We decided we'd heard enough creepy stuff for one day. The plan changed. Forget camping. We'd hike back before dark. Simple. Except the trail wasn't there. Same stairs, same direction, same ridge. But where the trail should have started, there was only thick brush. Tyler pulled out his GPS. No signal. Rachel checked hers. Nothing. My phone showed 1 bar, then none. Mason forced a laugh. "We walked up here. The trail didn't just disappear." He was right. It didn't make sense. Still, we started downhill the best we could. That's when we noticed someone watching us, far below, standing between 2 trees, too far away to make out a face, just a person, perfectly still. We waved, no response. Tyler yelled, nothing. The figure never moved, not once. We kept hiking, or at least we thought we were. An hour later, we ended up back at the tower. Same stairs, same door, same radio. Nobody said a word. We just stared at it. Rachel finally whispered, That's impossible." She was right. We hadn't climbed uphill. We'd walked downhill the entire time. Yet somehow, there we were again. Panic changes people. Tyler wanted to run. Mason wanted to stay put until morning. Rachel started crying. I tried keeping everyone calm, even though I was scared out of my mind. Then we heard voices. Real voices. Someone shouting from the trees.
Help me!
"Help!" It sounded like a teenage boy. Again. "Help!" Tyler started toward the stairs. I grabbed him. "What if that's somebody hurt? What if it isn't?" He pulled away anyway. We followed. Not because we wanted to, because nobody wanted to leave anyone alone. The voice kept moving. Always just ahead. Never closer. We chased it through the woods for nearly 20 minutes. Then it stopped. We found a clearing. Nobody there. Just an old campsite. The fire ring was cold. Sleeping bags were gone, but scattered across the ground were dozens of empty water bottles, fresh ones. Some still had condensation, like whoever left had only been gone a few hours. Rachel pointed toward a tree. Someone had carved words into the bark. "Don't follow the voices." Nobody laughed anymore. That's when Tyler disappeared. 1 second he was beside me. The next, gone. No scream, no crash, nothing. We yelled his name until our throats hurt. Finally, way off in the distance, he answered. "I'm over here." Relief hit us instantly. We ran toward him. Then we heard another Tyler, behind us. "I'm over here." Mason stopped dead. "So, if Tyler's behind us..." We slowly turned. Nobody. Then, another voice, exactly like Tyler's. Closer now. "I'm right here." Rachel grabbed my arm so hard it hurt. We ran. We didn't care where anymore. We just ran. Night came fast, way faster than it should have. The woods became almost impossible to see through. That's when we found the ranger cabin. At least, we thought it was a ranger cabin. The windows were boarded. The front door hung open. Inside were shelves filled with canned food, old maps, medical supplies, everything covered in dust. Except one room. That room looked lived in. Blankets, fresh batteries, half a bottle of water. Someone had been there recently. Very recently. Then we heard footsteps outside. Slow, heavy, circling the cabin. Nobody knocked. Nobody spoke. The footsteps went around us twice, then stopped beneath the window. Whoever it was, stayed there for almost an hour. None of us slept. Just before sunrise, the footsteps returned. This time they walked away. We waited another 30 minutes before stepping outside. There were boot prints everywhere. Large, deep, only one person's tracks. They circled the cabin over and over. But the strange part wasn't the prints. It was where they ended. Right in the middle of an open patch of dirt. No return tracks. No sign they'd left. Just gone. We finally found the real trail later that morning. A search team met us halfway down. They'd been looking for us all night. We told them Tyler was still up there. They searched for 6 days. Helicopters, dogs, volunteers, nothing. No backpack, no clothes, no body, nothing. The ranger who took my statement asked something that still bothers me. He looked at me and said, "You actually reached the tower?" I nodded. His expression changed. Then he quietly asked, "Did the radio still work?" I never answered, because I wanted him to explain why he asked. He didn't. Years later, I went back, not to hike, just to see if the tower was still standing. It wasn't. The old structure had been removed. The area looked completely different. Before leaving, I stopped at the visitor center. On one wall hung old photographs of the tower. One picture showed 4 hikers standing on the observation deck. The photo was faded. The date was impossible to read. But I counted anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4. The guy closest to the camera looked familiar. Too familiar. He was wearing the exact same flannel shirt Tyler disappeared in. I asked the employee if I could get a closer look. She smiled politely. "I'm sorry. That photograph has been there longer than I've worked here." I asked how long that was. She checked a small plaque beside the frame, then looked back at me. "It was donated in 1989. Tyler was born in 1996. I've gone over that trip in my head more times than I can count. Maybe exhaustion played tricks on us. Maybe there was someone living deep in those woods. Maybe we wandered farther off the trail than we realized. I honestly don't know. But I do know this. 3 of us came back. 1 of us never did. And every now and then, usually when I'm somewhere quiet, I'll hear a burst of radio static. Just for a second. Then a man's voice, calm, almost tired, saying the same 6 words I heard that day. "Don't let them come down." I still have no idea who he meant. I still remember the exact moment I realized I wasn't alone in that tower. It was 2:14 a.m., and the radio had already stopped making sense. Not broken, not static. It was speaking. They assigned me to Tower 17 because I didn't mind isolation. That's what I told myself anyway. Old fire lookout posts in the Appalachian backcountry don't attract volunteers. Most of the younger rangers avoided them completely. No cell service, no roads for miles. Just a rusted staircase wrapped around a wooden tower sitting above endless pine forest. My job was simple: watch for smoke, report anything unusual, and stay put unless absolutely necessary. First week felt normal. Too normal. That should have been my first warning. The first strange thing wasn't dramatic. It was the silence, not the peaceful kind. The kind where even the forest stops behaving like a forest. No owls, no insects, no wind through the trees, just stillness. At 11 p.m. on my 3rd night, I called in a routine check. "Tower 17, all clear." Dispatch responded immediately, but the voice on the other end didn't sound like dispatch. It sounded like someone trying too hard to imitate them. Same words, same cadence, wrong tone. I leaned into the radio. "Can you repeat that?" A pause. Then it said, perfectly clear, "You are doing fine. Stay where you are." That's when I first felt it, like the tower itself had shifted slightly under my feet. The next night, I noticed the footsteps, heavy, slow, circling the base of the tower. At first I thought it was a bear. We get black bears sometimes in the lower ridges. I grabbed the spotlight and scanned the tree line. Nothing. But the footsteps didn't stop. They moved in a full circle around the tower, over and over, like someone pacing and learning the structure. I radioed in. No response. Just dead air. Then the radio clicked on by itself, and I heard breathing. Close. Too close. "I can see you now," the voice said. My stomach dropped. I stepped back from the window. That's when things got worse, because I realized something impossible. The voice wasn't coming from the radio anymore. It was coming from outside. By night 5, I stopped turning off the floodlights. The tower was fully lit at all times, cutting harsh white beams through the forest like blades. That didn't stop it. I started noticing movement at the edge of the light. Not running, not hiding, just standing. Too tall for a normal person. Wrong proportions. I convinced myself it was a trick of distance. Then it raised its arm and waved, slowly, deliberately, like it knew I was watching. I radioed dispatch again. "This is Tower 17. I've got a possible intruder at base." Static. Then the same voice again. Calm, controlled. "We know." A long pause followed. Then, "Don't look down again." I looked down anyway. That's when I saw the footprints on the tower stairs. Fresh, wet, coming up. I grabbed my flashlight and pointed it down the spiral staircase. one step below the observation deck. A hand was resting on the railing, not climbing, just holding, like it was waiting for me to notice it. Long fingers, too many joints, skin pale in a way that didn't reflect light properly. I didn't scream. I couldn't. My body locked up. Then the hand tightened on the railing, and the thing slowly lifted itself into view. I wish I could say it looked like an animal. It didn't. It looked almost human. Almost. But its smile, that's what stayed with me. Too wide, too patient, like it had been practicing. "I've been up here before," it said softly. That's when I ran. I slammed the tower door shut and wedged a steel bar through the handle. The thing didn't rush. It didn't need to. Instead, I heard it walking around the base again. Slow, measuring. Then it started climbing. Each step on the metal ladder rang out like a bell in the night. 1, 2, 3. I called dispatch again, hands shaking. No answer, just breathing again on the line. Then my own voice came back through the radio, but I wasn't the one speaking. It said, "You're almost done with your shift." The ladder stopped. Silence. Then a single knock on the trapdoor below me. The trapdoor bent inward, not breaking, not snapping, just opening like it had been unlocked. I didn't wait. I jumped out of the observation window, 30 feet down into pine needles and rock. I remember the impact more than the fall, then running, always running. They found me 2 days later on Forest Service Road 9. I was dehydrated, injured, and barely conscious. When they asked what happened, I couldn't explain it properly, because Tower 17 was empty, completely empty. No footprints, no broken lock, no signs of forced entry, just a functioning radio still broadcasting. Tower 17, all clear. Even now, months later, I still hear that voice sometimes. Not on radios, not in the forest, only when it gets too quiet, like something is waiting for me to answer back.